changing that stuff is really important to get rid of this stuff long term, but short term, immediate, desensitize and get some momentum. Now the third problem, this is kind of something that I learned basically through improvisation acting, and it's called, I call a social filter. Now when you go to improv, when you first start with improv, you learn about this kind of filter that you have in your brain that's between the ideas that come up in your head and the things you actually say to people. What I want to do is I want you to try this exercise with me, all right? Imagine you have a black box right here. Just imagine it's right in front of you. And I'm going to ask you to reach your hand in, not yet. I'm going to reach your hand in, pretend you're grabbing something, pull it out, and as soon as you see it, say what it is. So I'd be like, banana, fire truck, apple, baseball glove, goat, random things, right? Completely random. Seems silly. Now, what I want you to experience when you do this is that there's a hesitation moment where you see something and you're like, well, should I say that or not? Okay, so just go ahead and put your hand in and start pulling them out. I'm going to have you go. Go. Put your hand in, say it. What is it? Next one, say it. What is it? Put your hand back in, say it. Do it again. What is it? Faster. Hand in, take it out. What is it? Put your hand in, take it out. What is it? Next. What is it? Say it. Say it. Next one. What is it? Next. Do it again. What is it? Say it. Faster. Faster. Again. Faster. Keep going. Faster. Now stop. So see, there's a flow that starts to take place once you start doing this more and more. As you start to get into that, you start to get into flow. Now, getting into flow is important. Just like they say, you're in a conversational flow. In a conversational flow means that things are coming up in your head and they're just coming right out, right? Things are coming up in your head and they're just coming right out. The conversation is flowing. Things aren't coming up in your head, being tested, questions, should I say that, should I not, and then flowing out, or not. They're actually just coming right out. You're trusting your unconscious to provide you with the communication. In the same way that as you do the black box thing over and over again, that little piece of hesitation, that filter, starts to go away. You start to break it down through practice, right? Now, I'm not saying by sitting here looking at random objects, you're just going to become a great conversationalist, but what it can do is it can give you the experience and the understanding of what that filter is, what that feels like. Now, interestingly, in improv, you'll find that when you do this, especially if you're alone or around people you're comfortable with, and the rule is you can say anything, it doesn't matter how perverted or vulgar it is. There'll be stuff that you say, like when you first start doing it, that's really kind of vulgar or profane or grotesque or perverted. And that's interesting, and it's because there's a social filter that we all have at all times out in public. We can't go around just talking about all the freaking weird shit we think going on in our head because it's not socially acceptable. So because of that, there's kind of like a pressure built up. There's kind of like things that we wish we could be saying, or maybe not even wish, but maybe would be saying if we just said everything in our mind, and that we're not saying. So as soon as we release that and we allow ourselves to say impulsively whatever comes up over and over and over again, we break that social filter wide open. A lot of weird stuff comes out. Now, say you've got like this much stuff that you can possibly say at any time, right? Now, if you take that social filter that's normally in the case when public where you're not going to say weird stuff, that brings it down to maybe to about here, okay? So there's still there's a lot of stuff that you can still say, which is why it's not a problem for us to be filtering out profane things. But when you get into a conversation with somebody, and we're talking about women here, or you get in a conversation with a woman and she's intimidating or you're attracted to her and you're worried about saying the wrong thing, all of a sudden you start shrinking this down, right? And the filter gets stronger and stronger and there becomes less and less stuff for you to be able to say till it gets so small that it's like, should I say that? Should I not say that? That you have so little stuff that left to be able to say that it makes it impossible for you to have a fluid and flowing conversation with her, because when she says something and it's your turn to respond, well, there's nothing in here worth responding to because I'm not allowed to, because my filter is too strong. So in the same way that through the black box exercise, we're going from maybe from here to here, you want to be able to go in a conversation from here all the way back up to whatever socially acceptable in that situation. And also, this is the kind of thing, you'll notice the same thing happens when you start flirting with the girl and it starts to get heated. This filter will open up even more because there becomes more things that you can say to her. And as it gets more relaxed and you get a better rapport, a better connection, you can say more and more stuff. So the idea with this whole idea is about becoming attuned and aware of where your social filter is. And is it benefiting you or is it restricting you? And I'm telling you that in the situation where you're having this trouble conversing with a woman, it's probably because you're filtering too much. So find a way to detect that filter, get used to it, practice the black box thing, get used to that feeling, and allow yourself to push it, to open it up, to get in flow. Now, you're worried about something in here. This filter is based on a worry, right? It's based on a worry about saying something stupid. But here's the thing. When you're going into a conversation with a woman you've just met, and I'm talking about a new person, somebody you've just had your initial conversation with, you're just still getting to know each other, and she's still trying to figure out the situation, figure out, is this guy, can he hold the conversation, is he interesting? If you say nothing at all, that is so much worse than saying something stupid. It is always worse to say nothing at all. It is always worse to say nothing. If you say nothing, she's going to lose interest in you. If you say something stupid, she might lose interest in you. So you're always better off saying whatever that comes up in your mind in that normal social filter, as if you're talking to a good friend, than you are saying nothing at all. Treat her like a good friend. Treat her like somebody that you're comfortable around. Treat her like somebody that you've been in a relationship with before, And what happens by doing that also, the side effect is that the person starts to feel that way as well. If you talk to somebody using your wide open social filter like you talk to any girl you're in a relationship with or somebody that you're really close with, they're going to start to feel that they are part of that connection because you're sharing with them in that same way. Going on to the last situation, last problem, last cause for this kind of analysis paralysis that causes you to not be able to speak to women is thinking about what you are doing. Now, differently than controlling every aspect of what you're doing, different than that. When I say thinking about what you're doing, this is about what your thoughts are in your mind, what your actual pictures are that you're making, movies you're making in your mind in the process of the conversation. It's not just an intention to control what you're doing, it's the actual thought processes that are happening while you're conversing, while she's speaking, you're listening, or while you're saying something. Now, and I've talked about this in my workshops, and I've asked people for feedback on what do you think that you should be thinking about? And you get answers like, you should be thinking about what you're saying, or you should be thinking about, nothing at all. And those are decent answers, but there's something that's even better. Now, before I go into what it is, let me talk about how you can not think about the things that you don't want to think about. Because when I say you think about what you're doing, you think about your worries. Maybe you're thinking about her naked, or you're sleeping with her. Maybe you're thinking about her friends, or what your friends are thinking, or if anybody's watching you, or the people around you, your environment. If I told you to not think about any of these things, you would go into a situation and you'd be like, okay, I'm not going to think about sleeping with her. I'm not going to think about sleeping with her. I'm not going to think about her friends. I'm not going to think about my friends. And what's going to happen? What if I said right now, don't think of a pink elephant? Do not think of a pink elephant. What do? Yeah, of course, you think of a pink elephant. But how do you not think about it? If I told you to not think about it, how do you not think about it? The answer is, the only way to not think about something is to think about something else. So, for example, on a count of 3, and I'm going to say, do not think of a pink elephant. But in advance, I'm going to tell you that when I get to 3, I want you to picture a green box. It doesn't matter what I say when I say pink elephant. Picture a green box and hold that in your mind. All right? 1, 2, 3. Do not think of a pink elephant. Now, did you hold the green box in your mind? If you succeeded, if you held the green box in your mind and you focused on that, the pink elephant had no chance of coming in. If you hold thoughts powerfully enough in your mind, other thoughts can't push them out. The only way to not think about something is to think about something else. So what should you be thinking about during a conversation? Bringing it back. Not thinking about nothing. Not thinking about yourself or what you should say. You should be thinking about her. And in detail, what do I mean thinking about her? I mean, you should be thinking about everything she's saying, everything she's doing. You should be paying attention to her so much that your entire mind is consumed with her. What makes a great conversationalist is attention and empathy and compassion and caring about the other person. If 2 people are in a conversation and each of them cares so much about what the other person is saying, there's a connection there that's powerful, that is really powerful. In an attraction situation, you can escalate that into attraction really quickly. So if you're paying attention to her and you care about what she says, and your thoughts are consumed with her, let's get into detail. Let me break down how that actually happens, how I do that in my head, and how I know that other guys that I've helped are now doing it in their heads.